Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that.
Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill.
Oh, this is going to go downhill real quick.
What is going on? And welcome to Take on the World. As always, I have
John.
And I have two special guests this week.
Hi.
Resident millennial.
Hi, I'm Lexi. I live here.
And I'm going to do this introduction if you don't mind.
That's fine. Just do it right.
Mr. Slim Trim, 185. Every woman's fantasy, the love bug.
Hello. Well, I don't know about... That's usually what it sounded like, yeah. I don't know about 185. I might be about 187 now.
You probably are.
Celebrating from New Year's.
You have put some on.
Who's that hot dog you ate earlier?
See? That's why he got me the extra thick cheese dog.
Yeah.
He wants me to be fat.
That's how he keeps them.
Hey, I look at it this way. I'm not fat. I'm the perfect weight if I'd be 8'7".
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a good way to look at it.
So we have a special topic this week. I don't know if you could tell by our pops up there.
Well, we changed the whole thing around.
Brand new studio. What does everybody think?
I love it.
I like it.
I like
This table is awesome.
this table.
It is a work in progress. The whole studio is a work in progress. Over the next month or so, like the next 16 episodes, it should be finished.
Year or five to 7 business years.
Business here.
So we'll get to the topic in a second. Just want to recap a little bit. The beer is bottled.
The beer is bottled.
It
Got
is.
what? 2 more weeks left to.
We got
Settle.
another week. One more week, and then we can.
I kind of want to let it go for 2.
We can let it go for 2 or 3. Pop, though, just make sure those glass bottles aren't bursting. It's
I was
possible.
just
lot
down
of
there
pressure
yesterday. I
in
didn't
there.
see anything. I didn't see anything leaking. So
So
we're
the
good.
Take on the World brew is bottled, and I think the next time we sit down to tape, we'll all have a Take on the World brew with us,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
which would be cool.
I was tempted to grab one today.
I was tempted to put those 2-year-old beers in the fridge for us today.
Ah, you should have. We'll have saved it for next time. Then we can compare the two.
Yeah, we can. They should still be good. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
No,
Did you know Bailey's has to be refrigerated because it's cream?
no, I did not.
Did not know that.
Nobody in this household knew that. I took a nice big swig of that on Christmas.
Oh,
Save that for our next episode.
Yeah, that's right.
wait. You know what was the worst? When I was a kid, my dad had a Pepsi on the table, and I was like, I never really had soda because he would drink it all, or it was just never there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I grabbed it. I'm like, oh, it's half full, and I started chugging it.
Oh no!
And he was ashing his cigarettes in it all night long. You know? Oh God, it was so gross.
That's nasty.
I will never forget that.
Yeah, that's one thing you learn real quick.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That was a common thing back when I was a kid.
It was also a thing while we were on the road traveling. In case everybody didn't know, Love Bug was my tag team partner for 19 years of professional wrestling.
19
Long
years.
time.
And
19 years, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I started about 6 months before him, but I remember, I think it was December 1st, but too many chair shots. I don't remember the year. It might have been 98, 99,
Okay.
somewhere around. No, it was not.
I was
How'd you
younger.
guys meet?
Training.
that's a funny story, and I'm going to save that one.
Yeah.
Because we actually met long before that and didn't realize it.
Yeah.
I guess you didn't like each other when you first met.
No, we didn't really meet, but we were in proximity to each other at a very special moment in wrestling history.
Yes.
And neither one of us had thought about being a pro wrestler at the time.
Nope.
Huh.
No, I just I came into training one day, and when did you start? Like March?
I was supposed to start the same
April?
time as you. And what had happened was the place where I worked at the time, they have a hard time negotiating contracts.
I know that.
And I was waiting for a back pay because our contracts go 2-3 years over because they're just stubborn asswipes that place that I worked at the time. And so I was waiting for like a $3,000 back pay, and I wanted to pay for all my training at one time. And so I told Jake and Paul, I said, well, I'll jump in as soon as I can pay you all up front. He goes, well, we'll take payments. And I said, no, I want to pay you all up front.
Yeah.
So that's why I waited till I could pay everything at one time, and then that's what I did.
Yeah.
So I started, actually, it would be the next group after
Yeah.
you. So it was me, Stein,
And Adam.
Adam.
Yeah.
And there was some, who was that other guy? The small geeky kid that they taped his legs.
Sammy Nuttall.
Yeah, Sammy Nuttall.
Oh, this guy was a beaut. He was a beaut. Like he came to training the one day. And he was probably a little bit older than us, but he was maybe about 5 foot. Maybe
It was 96
Was it 96?
because I was 26.
Yeah, it was.
I was 2
That was crazy.
2 years old. I have a lot of stories
The
about wrestling.
The years just morph into each other.
I bet.
But this guy comes, like, he might have been, like I said, maybe 5 foot, maybe 98 pounds.
Jesus
He
Christ.
looked like a dirty accountant.
I'm surprised they even took him.
Really, I felt bad because, like, I felt that he might have been handicapped,
He could have
like,
been.
mentally. Like,
Well,
he just
I think he was mentally handicapped because
Probably
the one
was
day,
after you hit him.
well, he came to training one day and his tooth was missing, and Mongoose asked him what happened to his tooth. Now you're in a wrestling training center. You gotta like say something tough, like, "Oh, I kicked this guy's ass. You should see what he looked." He goes, "It just rotted out of my mouth." Who the fuck says that?
Can't come up with something better than that.
Exactly. Like, please say that you
Any
like
kind of
you,
story.
you broke up a robbery or a rape, or you were practicing chair shots. Not like I have bad fucking mouth hygiene.
Yeah, terrible
Jesus.
hygiene. I don't own a toothbrush.
He probably didn't, to be honest with you.
So we trained together, and of course, since I started a few months after Bob was ready to start working before I was, and I had a few little issues and bumps along the road.
We all did. It's
I,
common.
When I was young, I fell and I fractured a vertebrae off a jungle gym, and I had this aversion of falling backwards, so I had a hard time taking the back bump. And you know, Jake and Paul worked with me. Like we got trained by Bad Crew, one of the greatest ECW tag teams ever,
Absolutely.
and a very underrated tag team
Yeah.
when they were in ECW.
Yeah.
But when I would take the back bumps, I'd always clench up and I'd knock the wind out of myself. I cracked some ribs, But they worked with me. They were patient. I don't know how patient they were. I think they were ready to give up on me. But
Well, no, that was the biggest thing with them, is that they were patient with us. You know what I mean? They had been around, you know, the business for a little bit. They trained out in Minnesota with Brad Reigns, who I don't know what he exactly did up with WWE. I know he was big in AWA, but it's the same school the Nasty Boys went to, and then the Nasty Boys kind of hooked them up, and so they knew, like, their philosophy was, we want to train you the right way, and they did. I'll be completely honest with you, and I'm not like shitting on any of their training centers, but I had visited a couple before them, and you get that vibe like. But when you met with them, like I instantly was like, okay, this is where I'm going to go.
yeah, they didn't blow smoke up your ass.
No, they didn't.
They didn't tell you you're going to be a star, which is, I was told that someplace else. Oh, you'll be a WWE star in no time.
Same here.
And I'm like, you know, I was 26. A lot of these guys coming in are 18 years old, and like they buy that right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't that sucker. And I'm not saying anything bad about them, but we took the philosophy, because years later, after we had established ourselves in the business, years later, we opened up a training center, and we trained a bunch of guys. A couple of them have worked for WWE, and we never told that to anybody. We said, if that's your dream, always work for it, but know that it doesn't happen for many people.
Right.
You know, there's thousands of wrestlers, independent wrestlers across the United States, and there's, 50 wrestlers on under contract with WWE, and at the time you had WWE, WCW, and ECW,
Yeah.
and then we got to work for ECW at the very end. But like it was like the last days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and look at the time that we went to Boston.
Yeah.
We got invited up for a tryout, and they had WWE scouts there, and that was just one of many places where they were going. And you know, they probably looked at a couple thousand guys for 4 spots. So, it's and well, at that time they didn't have the training center. They didn't have NXT. They had the territory, which was I think it was
Mid-South.
still, was it Mid-South or was it Ohio Valley?
Ohio Valley. It was
It was Ohio Valley. And at that time, you had to come under contract, and then as they pulled you up, then they...
It's the same principle that NXT does, but it's different.
Yeah.
What? It just fell.
Yeah,
think
it's
it was
one of the
the
old
other-
cords.
So, but I do remember the first day I walked into the training center, and you were in the ring running the ropes. And, or I think you were just walking them at the time. I don't think you were running them yet. But I walked in, I was like, holy shit. Who the fuck is that dude? He's huge. And not fat, but like, wow. And I said to Paulie, I said, because other guys used to come in and work out, not just guys that train there. That's how we got familiar with a lot of the people in the business because there weren't many places around that you could train. So a lot of guys, Georgie, Pinky, Tiny, Doomsday, all those guys would come and they would work
Doomsday
out with
and
us.
Pinky were the ones who got me into business.
Yeah.
Down in Reading at the Armory.
Yeah.
I know you used to...
That's crazy. I can't believe that. Or no, I'm thinking Hamburg. They used to have all the wrestling shows there.
the Field House.
yeah.
Yeah, at the Field House.
I tell
They
you
still
what.
do sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
at
every
one
once
like a
in a
couple
while.
years ago.
It was pretty cool because we actually got to work Hamburg Fieldhouse, and we were both like little kids because the lights from WWE are still in the ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or WWF at the time. They're still. It was one of the original 5 stops for WWF, and the lights were still in the ceiling, and they'd bring them down. And what it would do is because they couldn't fill a crowd at the time, and they'd bring those lights down, and it would shine in the first 2 rows, and everything else was dark.
Yeah.
You couldn't see anything behind it. So all you saw was the crowd in the first 2 rows.
Probably
they
looked like
couldn't-
it was full.
because it made it look
Yeah.
like it was full.
Exactly.
And when we got to work there, actually the first night we got to work there, I'm thinking, get the people who sat in this locker room because they
Yeah.
had 2 divided locker rooms. It was a heel locker room, babyface locker room, and I said I could be sitting on the seat that Bruno Sammartino was sitting in. And just as I said that, Bruno Sammartino walked in the locker room. No bullshit.
Yeah.
He walked in the locker room, and he was going to go out, and he does like a motivational speech in the ring. He doesn't work anymore at the time. And I'm like...
Yeah.
And I was too afraid to ask for a picture because it's cliche in the business for a worker to ask for a picture. But I wanted a picture with Bruno Sammartino so bad.
We actually were at a show up in Darren's the one time, and up in Red Lion, and he was there, and it happened to be, it was me. I don't know where you were in the locker room, but you had walked out for a second and came
I
back.
probably smacked somebody and had to go cool off.
You might have. I forget who was. Oh, Sebastian was sitting next to me, and him, and it was like, do I say something? Fuck it, I'm gonna say something. He was probably one of the nicest guys we ever met. Like, just sat there and talked, just told us stories, gave us advice, and then apologized that he had because he was. I forget who he was managing that night. He came up to the ring with somebody that night. I don't remember. And he like, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, but I have to go out. But I'll be back. Total nice guy.
Yeah, he was very nice. And
Was it the same guy we ran into at the cigar shop in Lehigh?
No, that was Gene Snitsky.
Oh, Gene Snitsky.
Gene Snitsky's actually a local guy here.
Yeah.
We are deep in the heart of coal country, down deep in a coal mine.
He's a big dude.
Never find us here.
He's big dude with skinny legs.
Yeah.
But just so anybody who's from the business, because I know some of the people from the business watch this and listen to this podcast, we are going to name drop like motherfuckers today.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just putting it out there.
Here, let me try to switch this, change gears for a second because I was interested. I think you told me this years ago. We were making fun of you about fake wrestling.
Whoa.
There it goes.
Hey, there's plenty of room here. We can show him.
I'll put him right through this table.
I got one or two
And,
things left
Not
in
this
me.
table.
This
is a cool
table's
table.
2 inches thick, and I'll still put him through it.
This is a nice table.
It's all right. Thank you. I got enough back issues. I believe you.
Anyway,
so,
in order.
You were talking about, I guess, running the ropes is when you're bouncing back and forth off of them. And you were saying about the first time you do it, you'll leave and you'll be black and blue.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
your
yeah.
whole back and
Oh,
your
yeah.
sides.
Yeah.
And I never thought about that. I always thought that was interesting. Like,
well, that day that
shit.
the first time he said he saw me, I started off the night by walking the ropes. By the end of the night, I was half speeding the ropes. I went home. I was bruised that night.
Yeah, it happens to all of us. I mean,
And then you don't get bruised anymore. Your back just gets used to it.
Yeah.
But because, like, WWE, I think, still uses ropes.
They use regular ropes yet. Yep.
It's the real thick rope. Every place else will use airline cable, like the stuff they'd use for ailerons. So it's a 3/4 inch thick
Gauge
steel
wire
cable.
yeah.
They take a hose, put it over it, and usually they just wrap that with tape. Then some people actually take the foam stuff that you use on pipes, and they'll wrap that around. Then they'll wrap the tape real tight. But even if it's the foam, your back is still gonna bruise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's for sure.
So we've traveled a lot. We've met a lot of people.
Yeah.
In the business, a lot of indie wrestlers.
Stories.
You guys wrestled at ICP, didn't you?
No, we didn't wrestle them. We worked a show that actually. That is a funny story. We were supposed to work that show, and we got bumped from the show. It was up here in Palo Alto, and
Which is common. It happens. People get
the
bumped.
promoter, I would show up, Bob would show up, we'd set up ring, we'd set up chairs, we'd do everything, and that's paying your dues to get booked on shows. Show them that you're willing to put something into the company to get something out. So we had been putting stuff into the company for, I felt, a little bit. Like we were at every one of their shows setting up, and we were finally going to get booked, and we got bumped, and I was so mad because there was a kid who started like 2 training classes after me, who was actually a high flyer. So he got booked, and he just had a piss poor attitude.
He did.
He never helped with anything, and I was so mad about that. And even Paulie was just on another podcast with Casey, and they brought that up, and Paulie's like, I can't believe he's still mad about that. But I was mad. And it wasn't so much that I was mad.
Michael,
but
hold a grudge.
What?
I was hurt because I had put what I didn't know is the promoter had plans for us, and it didn't pan out right then, and eventually Pat was long gone, and we were still working there.
Yeah.
So in the long run it worked out for us. So I don't have to throw a twisted tea at him.
And the problem with it is
let me finish that.
Okay.
So they get a phone call, and the phone call is from Insane Clown Posse's road manager, and they were going around doing concerts and wrestling shows at the time, and they said to the promoter, "Yeah, ICP is going to be in town, and we want to see if we can get them on the show. They'll put a whole match together. You don't have to do anything. Just open a spot for them." And the promoter's like, "Yeah, whatever." They thought someone was pulling their leg. They said, if they show up, they can work. Well, here comes their freaking tour bus pulling in the parking lot. Insane Clown Posse, big tour bus. And, I knew who they were, and a couple other people knew who they were. So the promoter says, hey, I need you to sit in the front row. I'll give you just sit in the front row. And when they come out, just go crazy. Just, ICP, ICP. Get the whole crowd chanting because they were afraid nobody would know who they were.
Whoop, whoop.
You don't like Insane Clown Posse?
This one's for all my juggalos and juggalettes. Whoop, whoop.
So I'm on the front row. I get this whole front row. I get them all hyped up for Insane Clown Posse, and they come out. And the crowd goes crazy. There was no problem, but they were afraid that nobody would know who they were.
They're actually really nice guys.
Yeah, they were. They were cool. They were cool.
I'll tell you who scared the shit out of me. Remember when we were partying with Public Enemy? Holy shit!
Yeah,
not Public Enemy the rap group, Public Enemy the wrestlers.
Yeah,
those guys were nuts.
Yeah.
Just nuts.
But they were cool.
Cool as shit.
They were cool, but
nuts.
There was stuff flying around that hotel room that I didn't want nothing to do with.
I think you have to be somewhat nuts to be a wrestler.
A lot of people say
Did
that.
you just call me crazy?
Yeah, you're a little bit crazy.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
You need to do backflips off of the top rope.
It's one
It's
of
called
those.
a moonsault.
Thank you.
And somebody at this table can do one.
Keep him in check.
I got you.
Keep this guy in check. Well, could do one. I don't know if we can do too much anymore.
Well, that's
Actually, the last time I tried to do it, I almost killed myself.
he almost died, and I witnessed
So when you
it.
landed on your head,
I fell.
The ropes just fell out from underneath him. It was insane.
That was a
I
shitty
watched
ring.
Yeah.
It was like that all fucking night.
I know that thing was a piece of shit.
But my son was so upset, and she's trying to tell him he's okay, and I'm like, we always had the kids up in the ring to dance with us after our match, and I make sure he comes up. I'm like, dude, I'm hurt, but I'm okay.
Well, Nathan was like, he was kind of chill. He was like, oh my goodness, I wonder if everything's okay. And I'm like, Nathan, he's okay. He's fine. Dad's fine. He's He's good. Look at there he is. People are there.
He was
Dad's
almost
there.
and Doc
was-
came over.
Yeah.
Doc came over. He's like, you. I'm gonna need a minute, bro.
Yeah, because we were in with the Brit because I was on the outside and then I got in, and one of our students who does this British gimmick. I love the gimmick.
Wyndham James.
He's
third.
Wyndham J.
nice guy, but when he's in character, he's a total asshole. But they love him being an asshole, and he's good at what
Like
he
he's
does.
a great heel. He
He
is.
is.
I hope he's not listening because his head's gonna just blow up when he hears that.
But he's always in character,
He is.
and it's fun because you're gonna have a lot of fun with
I
him.
just always thought he was a dick.
But he
That's just a character.
we
Yeah,
kind of
that's all I saw him as.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
we kind of looked at each other, and even at that point too, like we first like, oh shit, but you have to realize that like the show has to keep going, so he was smart enough to pick up, like he started yelling at me because of him, and he's like, this is why you're a shitty partner, or, you let your partner fall, and I just smacked him across the face. And
it was intense.
and we just rolled, but he was good about it because he knew there was going to be a reaction to what he was saying, and it was good. But
Somebody's speaking.
I was trying to be quiet.
drink. It's good.
I'm kidding.
It's like my breathing.
But we had a lot of good stories.
Who's the favorite?
I have a lot of
I guess you always
stories.
wrestled tag team, right?
Not always.
No, sometimes we did. Mostly we did tag teams. Sometimes we did singles, but
We always try to angle for tag team no matter where we
Yeah.
go. Like when we went to Boston. This is the first time we go to Boston, and the promoter comes up to him and he's like, well, somebody told me you're a tag team. And I'm like, yeah, we're a tag team. It's pretty cool. It's Beauty and the Beast. I don't fucking get it.
you have to understand, when we first saw this guy, when we got there, we'd been driving for about 6 hours at this point. We get inside the building.
Was he wearing like a leisure suit and slick back grease hair?
No,
He's got a mullet.
he had a mullet. He had like a dirty black sweatshirt on with jeans and a fanny pack. And I'm not disrespecting.
Fanny packs.
Yeah, don't disrespect the fanny pack.
It's not fair to fanny
but,
packs.
but I'm not disrespecting anything with LGBTQ or anything like that. But
Yeah.
he looked like your stereotypical butch lesbian. Like he looked like a lesbian standing there, and I'm like, who's this chick? And then he started talking like, oh shit, that's a promoter. But he had this terrible Boston accent, and like
He sounded like Gilbert Godfrey.
Yeah. What the
I
hell's
could
your
do it.
problem? Was this a wicked pisser? What are you fucking talking about? Like, speak English. And the guy was just unbelievable. It's still good for a laugh.
Because we always make sure we leave early enough so we could find a venue. If you don't know where it is, you could stop and get directions to the venue. Well, there were local guys that were late to the show. And he comes up and he's on the phone with these guys. He goes, what the fuck you mean you lost? You lost? Quacking the Pennsylvania boys are here.
And then he looks over at us with his phone up and he gives us
A
this.
wink.
What the fuck are you winking at? Get out of here, dummy.
So he goes, I don't fucking get the tag team. You're a cop, and he's a fat little pervert in boxer shorts.
Yeah.
Well,
Like, everybody got his gimmick. Like, the one time in Delaware, we went down and we worked the Soul Brothers, who did like a Blues Brothers gimmick. Or what? Was it the Soul Brothers, or was that when we worked Pinky and Don Allen?
No. Where?
Down in Delaware at that time.
That was HWA. It was Soul Brothers.
Was it the Soul Brothers? Okay.
I love those guys.
They were good. So the next month we go back down there, and they had just a little pamphlet, like piece of paper, program, I
know
guess
where
you
this
could
is
say. And on the back it had fan comments. Well, second or third comment says, "I really liked martial law," and the other guy, I can't get no respect. So that kind of became a joke. I was the other guy.
This one's going to be a little loud. We're peeking out here. We're peeking out there. We're not.
But that Boston trip was fun. It was a different experience. So we're up in the hotel room, right? There's 4 of us. The one guy opted to sleep out in his car, which was Tim Walker. He was a photographer for Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
Took
at
the
time.
best picture of me ever.
Yeah, he did. And he had come along because Quackenbush got us the spot on the show, and Quackenbush was wrestling Eddie Guerrero. They asked Quack to bring a tag team. He took us along. So we're in the hotel room. So Quack's in one bed, Mike's in the other, and I'm on a cot. And all of a sudden, the lights go out, and I hear this, whoa, and like a crash. I'm like, what the fuck? We turn the lights on. Here, Quack frog splashed him from one bed to the other. And you just heard him go, ugh. And like the legs popped out. So before we left, we kind of bend the legs back. And we're just like, fuck it. This is somebody else's problem now.
Yeah, it was good times. We should go back and tell the story how we became partners to begin with. How Beauty and the Beast, Love Bug and Marshal Law started out.
Love at first sight.
Yeah.
We were friends from the first day.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
legit.
Yes.
We kind of like, I think they asked me to work with you.
Probably on bumping.
No, I think it was, did they show you any technical that day? I don't remember. I remember them saying to me, hey, do you want to work with the new guy? And I was like, yeah. And we just kind of like...
Because I had to catch up to the other two
Yeah.
who started at the same time. They actually started like 2 or 3 weeks before me,
Yeah.
so I had to kind of catch up.
We just kind of bonded. And the one guy, Adam, he kind of was like before Mike came into the picture, I was doing this gimmick where I'd come out and I'd bring this big mirror with me, like probably 4x4. And I'd grab a security guard and I'd make him take the mirror to the ring. And, I'd get in the ring and I'd take my jacket off and I'd pose and people would throw shit at me and, the whole works. And they originally had talked about him and I becoming a tag team, me and Adam. And, at that point you're like, oh, yeah, I'll do whatever. But I'm like, I'm just not feeling this. Like, it's not working.
And at the time, his name fit him.
Yeah,
His wrestling name was Adam Tude, and he had an attitude.
he did.
Me and him kind of didn't rub a whole... We weren't very friendly at that point.
No.
Later on, we became good friends.
Yeah. Yeah, we're cool now. Everybody's cool now. But it just didn't fit.
That's odd that I didn't like somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see that ever
That's
happening.
real
No,
odd.
never experienced that in my life.
So he, Jake and Paul then said, because I think he got hurt. He hurt his knee or something like that. Or shoulder. Yeah, he hurt something. And then Mike was ready to debut. And they said about having Mike just be my bodyguard to bring him in. And then eventually they were going to split us off after a couple shows. So we're like, yeah, whatever you want to do. And then we just like it worked. It clicked. And
Well, Lexi was there that first night. And I come out to the ring, and it's a Spanish guy who always sat in the front row on the corner. And Love Bug goes in the ring, and he's doing his thing, and I'm just standing there. I got my Garrison hat on. I'm wearing my a gray uniform shirt, BDU pants, black boots. And Lexi's behind me, slapping the table, trying, hey, Daddy. She's real little. And she's smacking the table trying to get my attention. Daddy. And this Puerto Rican dude jumps up. And he goes, and he's like standing right there. This is my man right here. He's watching his boy's back, but his little girl's back here trying to get his attention. He's just watching his boy's back. And it was cool as shit because, and from then on, we were over.
yeah.
Like every time we came out, the crowd would pop for us.
Yeah.
And,
And whether we were faces or heels,
Didn't matter.
The crowd would just pop and pop and pop and pop, and it was Beauty and the Beast. And I'm like, wow, this is like insane.
yeah.
So then we did the heel turn. It was supposed to be a heel turn.
Yeah.
And Love Bug comes out. And he always ran the mic because he was good on the mic. I would say a couple words like, here you go. So he's cutting a promo, and the Pack is out there, which is a stable.
Now and at that time the Pack was, we were wrestling for Jake and Paul's Federation, which was Eastern Wrestling Federation, and then
Became
eventually
Hardway.
had to switch to Hardway. So I'm not sure. I think we were still EWF at that time.
Yeah, it was still
when that
EWF.
happened, and we were at the Garfield. And the Pack was
the
like
Garfield.
the number one group in the promotion at the time. It was Bad Crew, It was
Hungarian Barbarian.
Hungarian
I don't know
Barbarian.
if he was in at the time.
Yeah, he was.
Was he? I know it was Bad Crew Deeds, Danny Rose,
HB.
HB. Who the heck else? Because I think Georgie and Pinky were gone at that point from the group. I think they had.
They had split off.
Yeah.
I don't think Georgie was actually working it. I think he got hurt.
I think so. So go ahead. You finish your story.
So Dirty Deeds, he's the coolest freaking dude.
I love that dude.
But if you look at him, you'd never think he was a wrestler. Just scrawny little dude.
Yeah.
And he was wiry, fast and wiry. So he comes out, and he would always cut promos. So he's cutting a promo. Love Bug comes out, snatches the mic from me, goes, "You're nothing but the Pack's bitch, trying to be a heel because they're trying to be baby faces." The crowd pops for us.
Yeah.
It's not what you want.
This
Totally in reverse of what we wanted.
This is totally not what the promoters had planned, and we end up having to go out there to switch the whole matchup because of we could not be hated.
No.
At EWF.
And the more they booked us in shows against their top baby faces, the more they cheered us. Like they booked us against Bart Shaw, who's
Oh my God.
like the nicest
Bart.
guy you'll ever meet.
Bart's great.
And he did this hillbilly gimmick where he was just like he'd wave. And Billy Redwood, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
They couldn't do anything right. Like that's the only
And
time
they were
I
big.
heard Bart Shaw get
Bart
booed.
Shaw's the biggest baby face in the world.
Yeah, he's a real sweetheart.
He can't. I don't think legitimately he could be a heel. Like he has to be a baby face.
Yeah.
There's no choice. And they were booing him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just got to the point where they call us in the office and they're like, "We gotta fucking turn you guys face now." We're like, okay. I mean, we did this gimmick the one time where they fired us from the promotion, and it was an outside show. People were actually threatening to leave the show and threatened to, because they would pre-sell tickets to the next show. They were going to get their money back if we weren't going to be there.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They're like, guys, you got to go out. Like,
So we did a mask gimmick then. We were the Big Bone Brothers. So we came out under hoods. Everybody knew it was us. Everybody knew it was us. So we'd come out under the hood as the Big Bone Brothers, and eventually what they did is we came to a show as us, and they had two other guys come out as Big Bone Brothers while we were out in the ring, and I was like, well, hold it. But
That's always the best.
yeah.
That's
But
my
then
favorite.
when that night, well, actually, we wrestled Bart and Skeeter that night because they actually had turned them heel, and I think Deeds and RC were with them, and maybe even Plus More was with them at the time. So the two guys that were under the hoods at the time, like they went out with us. Then we started the match off. They threw us back through the curtain, and we quick switched with them. Then they went out. Our two students went out as us, and because I think it was. I got to think of the stipulation. If Bart and Skeeter won, the Big Bone Brothers had to unmask, and if the Big Bone Brothers won, we got reinstated. I think that's how. Yeah, that's how it went. So, right as they were ready to pin the Big Bone Brothers, our music hits, and I swear to God, that's the loudest fucking pop I ever heard in independent wrestling. I mean, it gave me goosebumps. We're looking at each other like, holy shit.
every pop you get for yourself is the loudest one you've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and then when we walked out and stood there, the place was going nuts. And then, of course,
awesome.
the Big Bone Brothers win, we get reinstated, and, we go on from there. But
My favorite promo that you guys ever cut was the Who Flung Poo promo. Oh, yeah. Who flung poo? I'll tell you who flung poo. I flung poo.
From my yard back to the neighbor's damn yard.
Yep. It was, oh man, I will never forget that
you
one.
got to tell them who Flung Poo was.
I can't tell you.
I don't know. Nobody
know.
knows.
Everybody
Nobody
was
knows who it
kung fu
He comes in a
fighting.
mask. He leaves in a mask.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This masked wrestler, Who Flung Poo from Brown Spots, Beijing.
Yeah.
So
I will never forget that promo. I can still see how it looks in my mind. Like in my
we
mind's
always had a student gimmick with our training center, and I'm not saying that's what Who Flung Poo was. I'm saying we always had a student gimmick. So I remember my first match. I went out as martial law, and I was a punching bag because I forgot everything I was supposed to do. I vomited before I went out. It was a bad night for me. She thought I was getting killed.
Yeah, I did.
And
Oh, yeah, that
actually,
was-
my sister was there.
That was Jim
My
the
sis-
Messenger.
Yeah.
That dirtbag.
Was that the one where I fell asleep in the chairs when everybody was cleaning up?
Yeah, it might be. So my sister had actually was sitting with her, and my sister's saying, "No, he's okay. He's okay. He's not hurt. He's not really hurt." And like I was hurt because my pride was hurt because I screwed up so bad. I felt bad that I made my trainers look bad, and I came back and they're like, all patting me on the back, like because it's first match, first time in the ring solo, and so we decided when we were training that everybody would come out and do this hooded gimmick first. So you could, number one, you hide your face, which helps you when you go out. Number two, while people may know it's you, people don't know it's you.
Yeah.
So if you make a mistake, it doesn't mar your character.
Which is why you do things like the Big Bone Brothers.
Yeah.
Because people know it's you, but then you do that switch, their music hits, then you're like, wait, then who is it? But it doesn't matter now because their music hit.
It's not Marshal Law. He's
Yeah.
3 feet shorter than Marshal Law.
Yeah.
Well, and it gives under the hood, it gives people confidence
Right.
because, a lot of things that people forget in wrestling is it's not just getting in the ring and doing the moves. It's selling. It's knowing where the camera is. It's knowing what facial expressions to make at what time. It's knowing when to play off the crowd, when not to play off the crowd, when to bring the crowd up. It's so
It's why it
many
annoys
aspects.
me when some person in particular, and he knows he does it on purpose, calls wrestling fake because it's not
John.
fake. Nope.
No?
No, I bust his balls, but I mean, it's obviously
It's entertainment.
Yes.
Wrestling is entertainment.
like well, what I was gonna ask him, like, you guys ever have? I'm sure you have. Any wrestling matches where you just straight up just fucked the person up
Yes.
because you didn't like
Oh,
them?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're like, that's it. Gloves are off.
Actually, I got in a fight with a wrestler after a show, and the promoter could have lost the building because like we were legit out of hand. And the next show, he said, "You guys are working each other," and we beat the piss out of it. But it was one of the best matches I ever had. And I actually like to do these now, and we've talked a lot since then. And we were both young in the business, and we're both he was a little longer tooth in the business than I was, but we get along now. Like there's no heat, and it was probably the best thing that happened to have a little bit of a stiff match. Now we've had a shoot match, but those are far and few between.
Well, and
that was just a stiff match.
That
Everything we did, we just let them know that we were there.
Yeah, that match too. Also, because he had a tag team partner, and as much as I love both those guys and respect both those guys, it took them a little bit to respect us. And there's just certain guys in this business that think other people are beneath them, and you take that back to the day of back in the 80s when you had the guys that they quote unquote called jobbers. Well, those guys they're called jobbers because it was their job to go out and lose and make this guy look good. And a lot of those guys, like if you take a guy like, and I don't know how well you follow the business, but a Barry Horowitz, a Steve Lombardi, Dwayne Gill, Iron Mike Sharp, those guys, they were better than some of the headliners. And they made the headliners look good. That was their job.
Yeah.
And these guys would constantly, because, a lot of people, and I'm not putting us over, but every place that we went, we were popular. And we were popular because we were in tune with the fans. We played off the fans. We weren't.
We were never the best wrestlers in the world, not by far. But
Never.
entertainers, we had something.
Yeah. And the crowd just and a lot of these guys didn't like the fact that we were over with the crowd. They'd go out there and they'd do all this shit, and we would just go out there and have fun. That's what we did.
Pissing them off.
Yeah,
Jealous.
they didn't. Yeah, like you remember that promo that I cut the one time, and I don't know. I don't know if that was the Who Flung Poo or not.
Who Flung Poo was the best ever.
And
I always loved that
when
one.
Danny cut that one promo, and then we were watching him, and he got all bitter because Jake really loved mine and put it over, and then was that the Who Flung Poo one?
I think it was.
Yeah, I don't.
But that was like the best.
Yeah.
Like it was just natural. It just flowed. You didn't think about it. It's like, okay, I'm going to say this. You just sat down and boom. And that's when we started doing the podcast. I said one take.
Yeah, you did.
Minimal editing. Like I still edit.
But I think we keep it to a.
But minimal edit. So that was kind of our rule when we did our promos. One take.
Yeah.
And it was very few times when we had to do more than one take.
I think I can remember twice in 19 years. Twice. That we prided ourselves on that, you know. One take.
It's not genuine after the first time.
Like it's
right.
You can
want to be
watch
genuine.
even if you watch WWE and like they'll tape some of those a couple times and you could tell that they're just getting tired of doing it.
Yeah.
And it just loses something.
Yeah.
And you know
It's like scripted, like big time.
Yes.
well, yeah, well,
That's not even really the problem.
that stuff is like the angles and stuff all
Yeah.
have to be scripted.
They're all like a story.
Yeah.
You know,
But
they're
even their
written out.
promos at some point, there's only a few guys up there who's like The Rock. His promos were never scripted.
Yeah.
Steve Austin was never scripted.
They didn't have to be.
But now a lot of the guys are.
Yes.
And that's something we didn't want. Like even with our matches, we didn't want to be scripted.
What do you think it's like now trying to get into wrestling?
The
Starting
business
out?
has changed.
Yeah.
Like I've gone to shows, and I still get involved. Actually, I just got offered a booking the other day, and I'm like, no, sorry, I don't wrestle anymore. I'm not in the shape to do it. I have 2 replaced knees. I'm not down. But I've gone to shows as a spectator, you know, just to see the guys, some of the guys who are still working, some of the guys I train, and just these kids that are wrestling now, their shit don't stink. Everyone's a superstar when they walk in the door. They don't know about paying dues, and I'm antiquated and ancient because I think that all that stuff's still important.
And I think a lot of another thing that's kind of a problem is like a lot of people don't really realize like going to WWE is not what it used to be.
That's true.
You know, like running the indies is probably your best bet at this point. It's going to give you the most best exposure because what happens with, like you were talking about jobbers, a lot of times that's what they'll use the NXT people for. And then what happens is these NXT people are better than their top performers because they have something new. But you have guys like Seth Rollins, who's kind of a dick, actually, which sucks because he's a good wrestler, but he's just, from what I've understood, like from what I hear, he's just not really a good guy. So
I would like to think if you had somebody, damn it, excuse me, I'm a little under weather. If you had somebody who's like starving,
Rona.
I already
I'm
had
a
that.
negative.
If you have somebody who's starving for, success, and who's willing to, like you said, put the work in, I think that would probably, to me, that seems like you get a better product out of it.
Look, I'll talk about a kid right now who came to our shows, came to EWF as a spectator, came to Hardware as a spectator, came to our shows as a spectator, and got trained, and showed up and asked for a job. This guy would show up in a suit every show. This guy would come and he'd help set the ring up every show. He didn't owe me nothing. I didn't train him. He does not owe me a thing. He would be one of the first people there to help. He would be one of the last people there to leave. And we booked him and we pushed him because not only did he do that for us, but he was good. Mm-hmm. And he was good because he knew the business from the bottom of the ring
To the top.
to the top.
Right.
And that's a big problem today.
And that's
a lot of
I'm
guys
a
don't
shout
know
out to
that.
him, Kakoa.
Oh, I
Flying
love him.
Hawaiian.
Flying Hawaiian. He's great.
I tell you,
He was at that show that you died at.
yes. Well, he ran that show
Yeah.
so we could retire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He personally did that for
Yeah.
us.
He said, "Look, I'm running a show. If you want to have a retirement show, make it be this one.
Yeah.
Make it." And
It was a good show.
He's always been mad respectful to me.
Yes.
And we don't always see things the same way, but he's always been respectful. He's always been professional. Now, other people have said he's this or that. The other. I've never had that experience with him.
Right.
My experience with him every single time has been professional, respectful, and a good hard worker.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And that's the kind of guy. Look, even if he wasn't the best wrestler, because he was willing to put that effort forward, he was going to learn to be a good wrestler. And I'll give him a shot over someone who walks in the door.
He's immune.
Hit him with that T already.
Yeah, I thought about it.
Just hit me with a T. Someone that walks in the door and thinks the shit don't stink.
Right.
Yeah.
See, and that's one thing we never did is we never thought our shit stunk or didn't stink or however.
You guys
they
seem
put it.
pretty humble about it.
We were always thankful.
You got to know where you got
Hashtag
to know
humble
where you're
brag.
at.
What?
Hashtag humble brag.
Yeah, humble brag.
we were always just thankful to be booked because we got one time in one of the federations we got bumped from the show for backyard kids, and it pissed me off, because we're at this federation every month and we didn't get paid much. We got $10.
Oh, if you got that, sometimes there's a hot dog and a handshake.
Yeah. And, and again, I'm not bragging, but we put asses in seats. And then they bumped us from the show to put 2 kids on that had just turned 18 that weren't trained to wrestle in the backyard, and their dumb friends who stood around the outside because they promised them they'd bring 20
people to the show.
Yeah, whatever. And they didn't.
10 people showed up. And
yeah. And it pissed me off.
Here's the thing. People have followed us to watch us wrestle.
I've heard about
the limo guy.
Who is this?
Oh no, we'll wait on that story.
I don't want to know about that one.
So I'll tell that one though, because that's a good one, because that involves Bob too.
Good job, Bob.
It's always my fault.
So when we went to Boston for the first time, we're up in Boston, we're wrestling up there. I walk out without him. Now that was the second night.
Yeah, because Leatherface didn't
Eddie
know
Guerrero
anything
was
about
there.
a tag team with us.
I was supposed to wrestle K-Dog from WCW, and he didn't show up. And there was a long story on why he didn't show up. I don't know what it was. So I had to who was it? Was it McNeely or
no?
who did I wrestle?
Quack wrestled Tim McNeely.
Nick the Hippie.
Were they? No, I think they were the first night, or
I don't remember.
Because I had the second night I had Peanut Butter Smooth.
Trey Smooth. I forget. Anyway,
Bitch,
so I come out to the ring, and there's 2 people there that knew we were going to Boston, came up and sat in the crowd. They start chanting martial law. The whole place pops.
Yeah.
They don't know me.
Yeah.
I've never wrestled there. 2 people knew me. The place pops. It's going crazy, and I'm like, man, I feel like we're at home. And so it made the night real easy for me. And it was a crowded house. He did put people in the seats up there.
Oh yeah, he did. He was an asshole, but he had good show. I mean, packed shows.
And he had some kind of WWE connection because who was it? Not Pat Patterson.
Tom Pritchard.
Yeah, Pritchard.
Slaughter was there.
Slaughter was there. Pritchard was there. Eddie was there. Eddie wasn't working. He was doing indies at the time. He was between his stints in WWE.
Yeah, he was on his way back. He had some issues with
that is Eddie Guerrero, folks, for the name
alcohol
droppers.
and DUI and stuff like that, and they released him, but they were in the process of bringing him back, so he was working indie shows.
So we worked up there 5 or 6 months with him, and then on the 6th month he goes, hey, look, I'm not supposed to tell nobody, but I'll be back up at the show on Monday night. I probably won't see you guys again, but here's my number. Call anytime. I've called and talked to his wife. I've called and talked to his kids. He said, if you want to go to Japan, I can hook you up when you get over there. You just got to pay your way. But to me, it was just a risk to,
Yeah.
But even at the time, WCW showed some interest in us before they shut down, and they were willing to offer us a year contract. Well, I think I was at the jail for 12 or 13 years at the time. I can't leave a 12 or 13 year job, but for him an 8 or 10 year job to go.
Yeah, that's a hard decision
for a 1 year contract for 80 grand.
Because then what do you have when you get back?
Yeah, right.
And not know if after a year there's so many guys who've had that year contract, worked twice and didn't work again.
Yeah. Same when TNA was, we'd gotten a lead for TNA, but they wanted us to come to Florida with no guarantees.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't move my family to Florida with no guarantees. Me and him will be working at Burger King.
Right. Yeah.
And when Pritchard reviewed us, Pritchard said, look, if we were looking for characters, we'd sign you right now. But we're looking for specimens.
Yeah.
They were looking for people who were all jacked up and
I respect that because he was honest.
Yeah. And
He
he,
was
didn't
honest.
blow smoke up our butt, and that to me is worth more than anything else.
But just overall, we were taught, and that's why I'm glad we trained with Jake and Walt, because we were taught respect.
Yeah.
Every place that we went, whether we were the new guys or we were the veterans, if someone came in that locker room, doesn't matter who it was. It could have been a name to a new guy. We got up and went to them and shook their hand. Yeah. Where a lot of guys would just, wait. Because one of the rules is, when you come into a locker room, whether you like a guy or not, out of respect, you introduce yourself, you shake his hand. You don't have to bother with him the rest of the night, but you got to be respectful. And a lot of guys would just wait for people to come to them. We would go to those people. So I think that kind of made a difference too. Like, because a lot of the big names, Slaughter.
Well, Slaughter, when we were up in Boston that night with him, I always had the Garrison hat. And I went to him and I said, listen, I know this is kind of your gimmick and you wear the Garrison hat to the ring all the time. And I don't want to step on that. I have a different hat I can wear. I'm asking you if you'll be offended if I wear it to the ring. And he goes, do you have two of them? I'm like, yeah, I always carry two. And he goes, can I borrow one? Because I forgot mine. And I'm like, and he goes, and you do your gimmick. He goes, you do what you got to do. He goes, you don't need to ask my permission. I said, out of respect, I will. I'm not trying to do what you're doing. I'm trying to do me.
Right.
And I can do that with a sniper hat. I can do that with a Garrison. I can do that with no hat.
Riot helmet.
Yeah. Done them all.
Yeah.
And so I took the hat over to him and he wore it to the ring.
Yeah.
Went back.
But the nice part about that is after all, he remembered who we were. We're nobodies to him. You know what I mean? All the people that he's ever dealt with all these years, and he remembered our names.
Yeah, the next time he came to the show, Marshal Law, Love Bug, how you doing? And I'm like, I can't believe you knew who I was.
Yeah.
Same thing with Al Snow.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that guy.
Al Snow.
We worked with Al Snow at a show, and months later, someone else ran a show, had Al Snow there, and I wasn't feeling well. And so I just laid in the, because I think they used our ring.
I think so, yeah.
So I laid in the ring truck just to get some rest before I had to go into work. And Al Snow sees Love Bug and says, hey, Love Bug, where's your fat partner at? And he goes, where's Marshal Law? And he goes, Marshal Law, he wasn't feeling well, so he's laying out in the truck. Let's go out. Boom, 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 boom on the back of the truck. I'm like, hello? And it's Al Snow. He goes, hey, are you feeling okay? I said, I'm feeling much better now. I got some rest. And he sat out in the truck and bullshit with him. The promoter was getting aggravated because he was spending all the time out with us, he was comfortable with us, and we were comfortable with him.
See, and that's what I think pissed a lot of guys off in the business that thought they were higher than us, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because guys like that would just naturally gravitate to us because we were, when we were done, even though we were kind of still in character, we were not in character. Some guys had to live their character all the time. Like even when we were heels.
I thanked every single person asked me for an autograph.
Oh yeah, even
when
when
we were
bad
heels,
guys.
I'd give them the autographs. I thank you every time. And yeah, that's breaking character. And some guys say, well, you got to go out there, you got to be in character all the time. Well, no, because in the independent scene, the intimacy with the fans
Is much more.
is much more, and it's more important than it is. WWE, 20 people might get to high five them guys. At an indie show, every single person can walk up to anybody at that show and get their autograph.
Yeah.
And that means something. It means some of these kids, like I know people, someone just put up a picture that we had sent to him years ago.
Oh yeah,
Hey, look what
yeah.
I found.
Yeah,
You know? And that's like 18, 19 years. He was a little kid when we gave him that picture.
That was like Chad. Wasn't that his name, Chad?
No, that was
The caveman.
Okay.
Caveman Chad.
Caveman Chad. He ended up being one of our students, and
He was awesome.
did
Did he go to Ring of Honor?
I don't know if he did or not. I think he's worked down there, but I'm not sure.
I know, but this is like years ago now. But he was talking about getting to do that.
I know Kakoa actually moved south for his career.
he's down in Florida.
Really?
He posts some things on Facebook because his wife just had a baby.
Yeah.
She's only a couple weeks old.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's like one of the things that I don't like.
That was that thumping.
I put Ollie down.
Oh.
One of the things that I don't like that like they just don't like. I liked when you got in the ring, you wiped off your shoes. They don't do that anymore.
A lot of people don't.
And I don't like that. It doesn't feel right.
You
to me.
saw it in WWE too. Like we would.
That's why I noticed it when I started watching it more again.
We would show our students. We would show them like, turn on Monday Night Raw and watch everything they do when they walk to the ring to the moment they step in the ring. And this is what this is what we were taught. And you're showing respect to the person who owns that ring.
Yeah.
That you're not gonna walk in there with dirty feet. Because if someone has a tack in their shoe and it comes off on her in the ring, then someone else is going to fall on it, and that's just disrespectful to them. If you have a rock in your boot and it comes out,
It gets stuck in somebody's head.
it gets stuck in someone's head or in their eye, that's on you. That's not on them.
And they told us straight out, you don't follow these rules. We're going to beat your ass when you get in the back.
Yeah.
Oh, and we were at a show the one time. We did the Cage Terror show, and you're supposed to crawl over this cage, go out, come back in, and crawl over a second time. And me and Bob said, we ain't crawling over
Fuck
that cage.
that.
But I said, but we'll give them a show. So I ended up being one of the last people in the ring. So I get pounded by the gate. And I go down, and they thumped me good, so I stayed down. And I told everybody as they're walking out, step on my back, step over, walk on me as you're walking out.
Because at that point, the match was over. One of the guys had crawled out, crawled back in, crawled out, danced, did a 360, ate an ice cream, whatever the hell they were supposed to do.
And then some young kid, no-sold something during the match. Completely no-sold it. And here I am, I'm laying on the ground, letting everybody walk on me on the way out. And this kid no-sells, it was a big splash in the corner or something.
Yeah.
And I had given it to him, and I let it go. But
What do
he
you mean,
walked,
no sell?
like,
It means if they clothesline you and you just stand there.
Oh,
or you take a punch, if I throw a punch, you just sit there
I
like
get it.
that.
Yeah.
sell it or don't sell
Yeah.
it. I got you. Okay.
So that's a good question. So
You're going to get a chop after this.
yeah. Anyway. So
Listen, 10 years ago, I wanted to. No more.
so he walks to the
Got
back,
a little wiser over the years.
and both of our trainers grab him, pull him outside. First they smacked him right across the face in the parking not in the parking lot.
Right as you come in the curtain, literally, it was a space probably as big as,
Now I'll preface this by saying this guy's trainer was there too, and they went to him and said, hey, this kid needs to learn a lesson. You okay with it? And they said, yeah. So he came back. They smacked him in front of everybody.
That's fucking awesome.
Then they pull him outside, and they say, you ever fucking do that again? You ever no-sell one of our students again and make them look weak? we will beat your fucking and they just went up. So then he comes back out, and after I came in from the ring, he's like, he comes over, he's apologetic to me, and I'm so sorry, I wasn't thinking, and I was just nervous. I'm like, dude, no excuses, bro.
yeah.
You did what you did. It's over. I said,
Don't do it again.
apparently you've learned your lesson because you came and apologized, and I appreciate that. Get away from me. because I was still mad. It's hard to think that I would hold a grudge against somebody,
Can't even imagine.
but I was still mad about it, so I just needed him to get away from me, or I was going to punch him, and then I'd be wrong.
Do you remember what we did to him at the next show, though?
No.
We were in a battle royal with him again, and one of the rules of a battle royal is
No spots.
Yeah, there's no spots. It's just fists, till you get down to the last maybe 2 or 3 guys. Then
You're not doing moonsaults. You're not doing
right. You're not.
It's a brawl.
Yeah, you're not shooting guys off the rope. Well, he kept wanting someone to shoot him off the rope. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? So I leaned to him and go, yo, dude, come on. So we take him back. We're like, dude, double clothesline. We shoot him off the ropes. He goes one way, I go the other, and he's just running back and forth 3 or 4 times. Hey, guys, when are you going to clothesline me? Fuck you.
Make him look like a dick. That's great.
But that's how you learned your lesson. I mean, do you remember?
We did that to him 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, he was that stupid.
It was like, oh shit, dude, we got pulled away. We'll do it again right now. Double clothesline. Just.
Well, do
Guys!
you remember? Jake and Paul had run a small show up in Copley, brand new building, first time there.
Is that the one out in the boonies?
No, this was the one that was on that on the stage. So we're sitting down in the locker room, and this guy's sitting there, and he's just shitting all over everybody in the ring. And finally, we're looking at each other. We both look at him like, who the fuck are you? And he's like, oh, I'm Master Andrew Bates. I'm here with Deeds. His gimmick was Master Bates. And it was a great gimmick. It was funny as hell. But at that point, I'm like he just pissed me off because he's shitting on guys that have been wrestling for
A long time.
15 years at this point. And
I think he shit on Anthony.
and Flash.
Yeah.
And he shit on Flash. And I'm like,
really?
who the fuck are you?
These two guys are awesome. Number one.
Yeah, he's like, I'm one of Darren's students. I'm like, well, how many matches have you wrestled? None. Wow.
And I just looked at him. I said, dude, you need to shut the fuck up then.
Yeah.
This guy, like, years later, like, I like the dude.
I do.
Don't get me wrong.
I do.
We used him on our shows. He was a good heel. He worked with the Brit. They did
some of the best shit together.
He's funny, but he really didn't understand the business. So at one point, he would always he was like pasty pale white, and he would go in and take his shirt off.
I've heard this story before.
And so everybody decided they were going to line up. He had said something in the locker room.
Yeah, because it was the next night at Deeds' show.
And we were down there, and they said, a couple of the guys said, look, we're not in this match, but you need to receipt. And I'm like, okay. So we get in there, and we got everybody lined up to chop him. Dude's chest was actually bleeding.
Yeah, I mean,
chopped.
they were just red hand. It looked like somebody took paint and just went like this all over his chest.
So I was the last one, and I have these big hands, and I came up to him to chop him, and I went like this, and I'm like, and I turned him around, and I like hit him in the gut. He bent over, and I chopped him right across the back, and all you saw was this big bear paw print on his back, bright red. He goes after the match. He goes back to the locker room. He's like, good match, guys, good match. Yeah. He goes, hey, but. He goes, is there a mark on my back? I'm like, no. He goes, I think somebody chopped my back. And I'm like, you think? I said, let me see again. And boom, and I did it again in the locker room. Everybody just stopped. There's like, and I'm like, he's like, I was like, oh my God, that hurt so bad. And I just whispered to him, I'm like, that's for talking shit last night.
Yeah. And he learned his lesson.
Because after that, like, look, I always kind of liked the dude because he's funny.
Yeah, he is.
I like him a lot now.
He's goofy funny.
Yeah.
Well, see, I don't know. Sometimes people just need to be put in their place. And
I just think he was excited to be in the business. And
if you don't have anybody there like old timers to do that, then
that's very
not gonna
true.
learn.
But you know, a lot of the problem too is a lot of the guys in the locker room didn't. When there were experienced guys there, they thought they were too good to take advice from. I mean, we picked the brains of King Kong Bundy, Tito Santana, Sergeant Slaughter, Ricky Morton, Jerry Lawler. I mean, Brutus Beefcake. Anybody that we
Marty frickin' Jannetty.
Anybody that we could sit and talk to. And then guys are like, oh, you guys are marking out for him. No, we're not. We're learning.
Yeah, okay. I was. But I was also learning something. You know, like when we were up in Boston, Eddie Guerrero, after we came out, we did that I don't know, round robin battle royal type thing with him.
Oh yeah.
And you know, Quack came over to him and said, you know, hey, I just want to thank you for the match. He goes, no, thank you. And he said, thank you and thank you. We're like, what? Yeah, we're thanking you because you're.
What the hell was that?
My dog.
Her dog.
Sounded like a door squeaking.
I know. And he said,
It's too small. I can't pick him up.
and he's talking to us, and the whole locker room's loud. And he says, I'm going to tell you something that my father told him and his father told me, because he's third generation. And all of a sudden, the whole locker room got quiet for the conversation that we were having with Eddie Guerrero.
Huh.
And Eddie Guerrero says, I could come here and beat you, and I've beaten nobody. You know, the way the business is, I'm the name, you're not. I could come here and just beat you. But if I come here and we make you somebody, and then I beat you, you're always going to be the guy who almost beat Eddie Guerrero.
Yep.
And that's not braggadocious. That's not anything other than that's the way the business is.
Yeah.
But the people were going to come back next month to see you because you're the guy who stood toe to toe with Eddie Guerrero. And like the whole like locker room was like, oh wow. And I'm thinking, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's the philosophy that we've always used is wherever we have gone, you know what I mean? We tried to be somebody, and, you know, guys did that for us. And then in turn, we did that when we were established in the Indies. We did that for those guys too, you know?
There was only one or two matches where I went out and I'm like, these guys are douches. I do not want to work them. You know, I don't like, there's just nothing they can learn from us. There's nothing we're going to learn from them. But we've always gone out to every match, not for us, but for the show.
Yeah.
So we go out and we do the best that we can for whoever's running that show, for the fans. You know, the promoter, if the promoter can bring us back the next time because more people are coming to the shows, that's good for us. That's good for everybody. It's good for his pocket. It's good for us.
There's only 2 times that I can think of that I really got pissed off in a match. One of them was when...
I can't say that.
One of them was when we were just kind of to that point we were going to get pushed for the tag titles with Jake and Paul. And there was this guy who, like, he was a referee, Logan. Not one of my favorite people because he just didn't... Jake and Paul booked him as their head official. And again, the way the business works is he also worked for CZW at the time. So he could get CZW guys to come to their shows, and he would take some of our guys to go to CZW shows, like cross-promoting and so on and so forth, which is fine. That's how you should do it. But he used to talk so much shit on Jake and Paul and their school and their federation, and we heard it. We've gone to them numerous times about it, and at that time I was like, wow, they just are either blowing us off or don't care or whatever. But now that we've been around the block, I understand that's how the business was. But for some reason, and again, I don't know if it's because the crowd reacted so well to us, he just didn't like us. He shit on us every possible chance he could get. So the one night, we was a Friday show, and there was a CZW show the next night. This tag team came up from Texas. And this is no disrespect towards them in any way. This is nothing to even do with them. He wanted to book these guys on the show so they could work 2 nights, get a little extra pay. Nothing wrong with that. That's the business. Jake and Paul asked us to work them. Sure, no problem. We'll work whoever you want. We'll do whatever you want. But he put up such a stink about putting these guys over. And Jake and Paul, like, oh yeah, okay, fine. You guys are going over. And Mike and I, like, we never bitched about anything. But we're like, that night we bitched. And we're like, this doesn't make sense. You're putting us in line to be your tag team champions, and you're going to have nobodies come out of... And not that they're nobodies, but
nobody knew them here.
Yeah, and in our area, they're nobodies. They're going to beat us. What is that saying about your federation? The 2 guys that you're pushing to carry your tag team division just got beat by 2 guys who are never coming back here again. Mm-hmm. And that's how we kind of smartened up into business. And once they thought about it, they're like, yeah, you guys are right. Well, this pissed Logan off to no extent, but they don't give a fuck. Who cares what he thought? He talked so much shit on them guys. And, I mean, we literally sat there, and he said it right in front of us, because their name of their school was BC Bumps. Anybody that comes out of BC Bumps sucks. Like, dude, we're fucking sitting right here. But that's just how it was. And the other one that pissed me off was, remember up at Riverside when it was the 4 teams? It was us, the Mess Brothers.
That's when the guy stiffed you.
When he punched me in the back of the head.
Yeah, that didn't last long.
No, these 2 guys, they called self-employed, 2 19-year-old kids at the time. First of all, they come to the show late, which is bullshit. That pissed me off. So they come in, dressed in their gimmick, tag titles on their shoulders, sunglasses, superstars, thinking that all the chicks are bowing down to them and the guy, whatever. So he comes up, and I don't know, we were wrestling, maybe 7, 8 years at that point. Comes up, and he's like, goes to Mike, and he's like, yeah, we're going to do this, 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 and this. And I turned and I walked away. I'm like, fuck this. So I walk away, and Mike's going, uh-huh. And the guy goes, okay. Mike goes, are you finished? He goes, yeah. He goes, all right, fucking forget all that. Shut the fuck up. This is what we're doing. So
I can't see you saying something like that.
And it's very rude. I can't ever imagine.
Well, because
they just brought the rudeness out in me, and I had to dig very deep for it.
Yeah, and the other guys that were in that match, the Mess Brothers, and it was Cremator and who the hell was his partner? Jesus, I can't think. But regardless who it was, we had worked with these guys numerous times in various feds, so we all knew each other. These guys, nobody knew who the fuck they were, and we had to put them over. Okay, fine, whatever. So we came out, we started with, I believe it was the Mess Brothers. Then...
Hooch and Holler.
Was it them?
Hooch and Holler was in that one too, weren't they?
I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember that there was 4 teams, and then the last thing, I was in the match with one of the Mess Brothers, the smaller of the 2. This guy was from this team, was supposed to come out and just like kind of clip me across the back, and I'll sell for him. Well, he came out full fist and punched me in the back of the head. like that I stopped and I turned and I go, this motherfucker just punched me in the back of the head.
And that was all I had to hear.
And that was it. Done. The other two teams dropped down. They wouldn't get in the ring. We chased him around. He picked the one guy up by the throat and threw him in the ring. And we just like literally just punched the shit out of him. Picked the guy up, laid him on me, 1, 2, 3, dropped him. We're like, don't ever fucking disrespect us again. Go in the back. Now, the promoter at the time, Pinky was the promoter, but Terry Frankowiak was his money guy. And Pinky's like, what the fuck is going on? And Gemini came up. Gemini's like, Pinky's like, guys, you know, and we're explaining it to him, and Gemini, fuck him, fuck them, man, these guys are right, fuck them two guys out there, I fucking told you, and he's going off. Well, Terry came back, he was pissed. We actually got suspended for the next show because of it, but, you know, they wouldn't even come in the locker room.
Damn.
They tried, they went outside the building, snuck in the back, and tried to grab their shit. And then Gemini's partner's like, yo, here they come. And we fucking ran in the back, grabbed them again, had them up against the wall. Like...
We were already suspended at that point.
Yeah, we were already suspended, so fuck it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was pissed. That's really the only 2 times I think I really got pissed off.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that had to be on the list because when I saw him punch you, I'm like, oh.
I mean, like just not like you could tell that they were either weren't trained or sloppily trained or whatever.
Didn't care or whatever.
Yeah, reckless. Just assholes. And I don't care if they're watching. Fuck you.
Did you ever watch The Dark Side of the Ring?
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's played out a little bit, but I love it.
Yeah.
I love all those.
Well, that clip you sent me from New Jack was from Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that. That's what I was saying. Like, you guys ever done some shit like that? Like, I guess, he almost killed him. He almost killed New Jack because he was too scared to jump off the what were they jumping off of? Like some double-story
like
cage or
three,
something.
three levels of scaffolding or something.
And
like
he pushed out at the last minute, and they went and he fucked it up, and I guess he screwed his neck up or something.
Well,
There have been a lot of
it's
stuff like
it's scary, but when your adrenaline's going, you don't know. I went off a balcony, over a cage, through 2 tables, and as soon as I hit the first of the 2 tables, I'm like, I'm never doing this again. Never. It hurt so bad, and I hadn't even gotten all the way down. I just knew it was gonna hurt.
Yeah, that's...
I don't think I could probably do the shit you guys did.
You could when you get there.
I
You're
could
just as nuts as me.
I could do like the Undertaker.
But at your age, I was still wrestling.
Yeah, I know.
How old are you?
37.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, I was still wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, if I
That was
37.
only like 4 years
if
ago
I
that you
wasn't so
retired.
big,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, it
I
was
don't know, but
2000. Yeah, it was 2016.
I got
I
a
was a-
jacked up back anyway. So
Yeah, I'm glad. Knock on cell doors. I don't have back problems. I don't. Every once in a while, I'll get like a strained back, but
no,
at
my
50
back's
years old,
fucked up.
I'm fat, and that's about the worst that's wrong with me.
You know what it was? Like, I was like, I don't know, 18 years old, and I was out at my friend's house, and she had this big house, and me and my sister, we were all partying, and my sister climbs up to the top of her shed, and I'm just standing there, like, looking at the overlook. They looked at a really, really nice house. And all of a sudden, they say, "Hey, John!" And I look up, and there's my sister jumped off the top of the shed, and I caught her, and I went like this, and I heard a pop in my back.
Ugh.
And ever since then,
So
Ever
your
since
sister
then, you've been
destroyed
80
your back.
years old.
yes. So thanks, Jenny.
Thanks a lot, Jenny.
Well, Jenny listens.
She does.
She's
Stop
a listener.
fat shaming, John.
Jenny's like the first one to like when our new
So you got your ass kicked by a girl.
I did.
Does it
Dude,
surprise
she
you?
would fuck you up. She's
Hey,
no.
we'll go upstairs.
Hey,
get my
hold on a
sister.
second.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm cool when women try to beat me up.
It's like, I told people before, I'm like, she's probably the type that might not. Well, she probably hit you back, but you probably expect to get run over by her in her car.
Yeah.
We'll go upstairs. Get my sister. She'll tell you how I pushed her through a glass door.
I could tell you that. I know that story. It's like I was
It's
there.
much better when she tells it because, like, she tells you how it is. She was running. She put her hand out. She went through the glass door. I never touched her. But what I did do was open the door with her in it and close it and say, I didn't do nothing.
I always imagine just.
She's a klutz.
I didn't do anything.
She's a klutz.
Yeah, she's a klutz.
That's like my boys. Both of my boys now, they're 20 and 15 now. This was and we'll have Kaylee's 24. So, yeah, I'm old. So this is just a couple months ago. I'm down in the living room and I hear this crash. And what the fuck was that? I go up the steps, hear their bedroom door. I can see through it. They were fucking around. They tripped and they fell through the fucking door. So I'm like, oh my God, like what the fuck? So Matthew goes, oh, don't worry, Dad, I got this. He puts all the major pieces back in, and I'm like, all right, dude, we'll get wood glue. Let me go down and get the glue. I go down, I come back up. He has packing tape over the whole fucking thing.
Good to go, Dad.
I'm like, whatever.
Fixed
dude.
it.
It's Dad, it's fine. So now,
Dad, it's fine.
because of that incident too, the door handle broke off. So now they keep the door handle on the outside when they want to get in. Then when they go in, they take the door handle and put it on the inside. I said, you two idiots are lucky that I'm getting new doors this summer. I'll beat the shit out of both of you with the doors.
Well,
Get some
we could
solid
go.
oak doors. See them do it again.
They would. They do all kinds of stupid
Well, I know
shit.
that's what I mean. They'd learn their lesson after they went through a solid oak door.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Do you remember this? This was about 15 years ago. We'd wrestled all weekend. And I came home from work on Monday, and I was hurting. And I was laying on my back. And I had my
I don't
feet
know
up
why
on the
I always
sofa.
carried you.
Oh, well, you didn't carry me good enough that day. And I'm
Dropped
laying
in.
there, and I'm hurting. And I'm like, I'm just going to lay here with my legs up on the sofa, and I'm going to relax. And my oldest son at that time, he was about 5. He climbs up on the back of the sofa, and just as I'm ready to doze off. Now, I used to do this thing with him where he had this little plastic belt, and we would wrestle. And I'd always let him almost get me, and I'd hold him down, and I'd pin him. And I'd say, I'm the champ. And he would always come after me.
Hey, you
Dad,
beat
let's
up on a
wrestle
little
for-"
kid. I'm a
Well,
champion.
Yeah, but at least he was male. He's beating up on women.
That's what we need right here.
What?
The tag team titles.
Yes. And the Luchabilly masks.
The Lucha Billy.
Do you still have those?
Yeah.
Oh, can I take those home?
I don't have them like handy.
Well, next time I got to take those home. My Mason Wenzel's in the worst way. I don't know why. He's nuts. So anyway, my son climbs up on the back of the sofa, and I'm hurting. And I'm just ready to doze off. He fucking superfly snookers me, knocks the wind out of me, pins me, grabs the belt, and runs. And he's like, I'm the champ now, I'm the champ. And I'm like, I got it back 2 days later.
Took you 2 days.
Yeah, I was hurting.
You're gonna fucking go back to
I
sleep.
took the Superfly
Yes.
from Superfly.
Yeah, was that the outside show at the stadium, at the baseball
Yes.
stadium?
Yep.
It was us against Superfly and Brandy, right?
Yep.
Yep, I remember that.
So it sounds like you guys just like missed the mark. Like you said, they weren't looking for characters. They were looking for, what'd you say, like
Specimens.
specimens.
Muscle. They were looking for muscle. And maybe we would have made it. Maybe we would have. I'm happy with what we did in the independent wrestling.
Yeah, me
Like,
too.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up next was, like, how do you think you would have done with, like, the politics and shit, like, going into... Because I've seen some, just from, like, the dark side of the ring, and, like, the politics seems like it's just fucked up.
Just go on Twitter. Go on Twitter because a lot of wrestlers that leave bigger promotions, they will not keep their mouth shut.
Yeah.
If there was something really wrong, they might not name names, but they'll say, this is what happened, this is what's wrong, and I will not go back.
you
And you
never
kinda
want to
know who they're
completely burn a
talking
bridge
about.
either.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I mean, there was politics with everywhere we went. There was always politics.
Well, look, how many times did before CM Punk went to WWE, he was told you'll never be in WWE, and he ended up being their champion.
Yeah.
And if he would go back, they would take him back tomorrow. and
CM
they'd
Punk
make a
is
ton of
so
money.
popular.
And he was cool. He
And
was cool.
Yeah.
He was a good guy. He was quiet, and he kept to himself till you got to know him. But once he got to know you, then he was cool.
So we could go like
Oh God, we have stories
2 or 3 hours on
easily.
wrestling stories, but we got to wrap it up.
Maybe another time we can do part 2.
Maybe we have another wrestler in if John can't make it or something. we
Yeah,
can-
or me
When John can't make it.
or if Lexi doesn't want to do it anymore.
or
Yeah, bye.
or me.
See you later.
It could be next week, and everybody quits on me. I'll be sitting here with my own microphone.
He just crossed everybody's face up.
Yeah. Boop.
Dude, just put a little mask up with my face on it.
Yeah.
But so you learn a little bit about the wrestling business. You learn a little bit about Love Bug and me, and John and Lexi were along for the ride. Lexi's always been a big wrestling fan.
Like, honestly, I do not know hardly anything about wrestling.
I could probably name, like, at least 5 wrestlers that I wanted to marry when I was a kid.
I mean, I did watch it when I was a kid. I watched.
Oh no, I mean
WWF,
like
WWE.
independent wrestlers that they were.
But I mean, as far as like names and stuff,
Sean Hayes.
Sean Hayes.
I was obsessed
Slick
with Sean Hayes.
I did-
Johnny
Yes,
Cashmere.
I don't
Trent
know.
Acid.
What the heck was his name?
One of them was batting on the wrong team. So.
Yeah. Well, my sister-in-law and my wife's cousin, they were in love with the Backseat Boys.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, where they would draw like Jenna loves Trent.
Well, that's how I was with Sean Hayes.
Yeah.
And when he got
well-
married, I was like so sad.
Next
I
episode
used
we'll
to
have
have like this little like slip from like a paper like that for a show that you guys did that had him on it. I had him sign it. I cut around it and then I laminated it with tape. Yeah,
Obsessed, man.
Oh, I saw that on your pillow when we were upstairs.
probably. It's still there. I love him.
So what were you saying?
I said we didn't touch on it, so the next time we'll have to about your that crazy one of your crazy fans in the shirt.
Oh my God! Wow.
Dude, that was a crazy fan who was crazy for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we'll touch on that. But for now, we're going to move on. And thanks for stopping and having fun with us. And go take on the world. Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill.
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.